Besides calling the rap line, how else can anglers reach out to you guys to report
Justin,
stuff?
yeah, you can text the rap line, right, too. That's a new thing.
So in this video, it was from 2 weekends ago? Yeah, 2 weekends ago, up at Anderson Probate. Unbeknownst to me, they were going to have conservation officers doing a little Q&A. When I kind of realized what was going on and how long it was going to take, I decided to record. I only missed probably about 30 seconds at the start. So this is the entirety. People that were there were asking questions. The COs were being really honest and forthright with us. And quite honestly, it was really refreshing to actually have a dialogue like this, because a lot of people don't interact with them in a healthy way. I myself, I try to go up and talk to them every chance I get when I run into them. When I'm out doing the videos, I just say hi. You know, they're a great source of fishing information as well, because they know what's going on out here, probably as good or better than many anglers. This is a long one. If you got some free time, this is a good video to sit back. You don't have to watch it. You can just listen to it. It's kind of more. It would be great as a podcast. But yeah, check this video out. It's the 3 officers there are local to the area, mainly the Port Huron area, and yeah.
I think myself and my experience, we could run with 4 officers here. I know we've had 5 in the past. When I got hired in the late 90s, we had 5 officers here in St. Clair County. But a couple of those were hardship transfers, and it kind of forced the department's hand. I don't know if you guys want to say something or not, or just open it up for questions. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, no, I just, yeah, it's good to be back around in this area and everything. Looking forward to working in the area again and getting to learn it as a different perspective type of thing. You know, growing up around here, you see it from one angle, and you know, obviously with this job, you see it with a different angle. So, just kind of looking forward to it.
And I'll say, and we'll probably limit questions more to fishing first, and then we can do our baiting questions at the very end, maybe. It's gonna come up. I had to say it. Yeah, so we're spread out throughout the county, and it's not just us who work in this county. We have officers from Sand Lac, Lapeer, Macomb help out. They'll come up here. Just like I'll go down and follow the walleye in Detroit first, and then I'll kind of work up this way. So there's not just 3 of us, but we're spread out throughout the county. So I'm south, and he's kind of north, but we all intermingle. So at any given time, there's always a few COs somewhere on the river, on the shore, somewhere. Okay. So yeah,
We're considered flex employees. We don't have schedules, so this is a bit of a rarity that all 3 of us are working on the same day.
it's like twice a year.
Yeah, this doesn't happen that often, but I think we might have switched the day off for all of us to be here. So, being a flex employee, we get to set our own schedule. We're not on a shift because we don't obviously have enough staff to do 24/7. So, we pick the days and times that we have to work, and we pick the activity levels and work our complaints based on what's going on. So, in the springtime, when the fish are on, we could work 24/7 and still maybe only scratch the surface of what's going on. So I say we're only a phone call away, but when you call us, nobody may be on because of the way the rotation is and the way the schedule is. But I know a lot of folks get frustrated with the rap line, the Port Huron poaching hotline. That's the best way to get somebody to answer your call. So I can give you my phone number. You can leave me a message on my cell phone. If I'm off, I'm not getting that message until I come back to work. If you call the Port Huron poaching hotline, they're going to get you somebody, the next guy who's on. So you got a lot quicker opportunity to get somebody to call you back if you call the 800 number. It's in the front and back of the hunting guide, fishing guide. So, who wants to be the first one? Who's got any questions? Joel?
One of the things I see a lot is that you guys are down fishing at, say, the boardwalk. You see a guy breaking the law, you call me. There's nothing I can do. I'm just the minnow guy. Doing what he just said would streamline things quite a bit. So call the rap hot.
And those numbers are a statistic for the department too. They based our workload on how many complaints we get. Now, St. Clair County is probably the second or first county in the Detroit district for complaints. Oakland County typically is the #1 complaint county in the district, almost in the state, Oakland County. Now, in comparison, in St. Clair County, we take just shy of 200 complaints usually through the RAP line. That's more than the whole UP combined. But the folks in the UP call their central dispatch, run by the sheriff's departments more often than they call Lansing. It's just something about those Upers, they don't want to deal with people in Lansing, which I don't blame them. It's all a number. But in order for us to justify getting anybody else or getting more help, the department looks at numbers. So if you have a complaint, you have some information, you know, we develop informants. There's rewards out there. If you give us some information that leads to convictions, in big cases, there are rewards available. And it's all between you and I. It's not out public information for who it is and who gave us what information. So if you're interested in buying some new gear, give us some good information on some over limits or some commercialization. Somebody selling walleye, that's a huge one. We make some cases on some commercialization, I can guarantee you we're going to get your reward. So that's a huge thing. And because of the abundance of fish, I know that that's starting up again. When it's a little bit tighter, a little bit harder to fish for some walleye, guys aren't going to maybe sell them as often, but there's still people filling orders. And that's our major rape of the resource is commercialization. So if you've got information on somebody that's selling fish, we would really like to hear about that. So I can almost guarantee you a reward in that if you want it in that situation. So, you had your hand up, sir?
Mine is off subject. I mean, it seems like you have a wealth of knowledge. In other words, anytime I see you, it seems like the bite's on. How can you share that information with the public so we learn, you know, where to best use our time?
Well, that's a call for Joel. He's the fishing report guy. But we also put out our, we have to do a weekly report every Sunday night, Monday morning.
Yeah, I know about that.
We have to do a weekly report, and we talk about that, and that gets published. I think it probably gets out to the public by
Well, it's out
Wednesday or
there
Thursday.
every week, and it's, I don't know, it just seems like, that
day to
doesn't
day-
jive with when I see you people there.
Right.
You know more than what that report.
But oftentimes, we're a couple days behind it also.
And I'll say, I mean, this whole system's chock full of walleye. You don't
Yeah,
have to go
right,
far to, I mean, you're
right.
gonna find them. You can put a hook on a leather boot and catch a walleye,
Right,
so.
yeah, the last couple of years. it's-
No, we spend so much time on the water that we just naturally see it, you know.
Right, yeah,
I know we're
that's
fishing.
why I wanted to share that information, because in my opinion, nobody knows it better than you guys, because you're always there when it's like the best.
Yeah, but
parts.
a lot of it too is just us having some networking going on
Yeah.
behind the scene. You know, like, you know, I got this buddy over here, this buddy over here. I know that they both went fishing this weekend because I saw them maybe. Hey, how'd you do? You know, that's all it is. They just kind of keep your feelers out all the time and
Sure.
know what's going on.
I mean, we're not opposed to answering questions. You know, we can develop a relationship, and you can have our work cell numbers.
Oh, okay.
It's not secret what our work cell numbers. I don't like to give them out to everybody because then I get 2 calls at 2 in the morning on a drinking bet on a regulation rule. If you call me at 2 a.m. about winning a bet at the bar, I'm probably not going to answer your number next time. But if you want to ask, you know, you've got responsible questions, or you've got, you know, you want to develop that information line, that's something that's available.
Yeah, like I say, I think your group of people understand how this ecosystem works more than anybody, and it's not fake report. I mean, you could spend a lot of time out there, and there's nothing like time out there.
Right. But ultimately, some of you in the room spend more time on the river than I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I believe that's-
some of you.
It might seem like we're there, but we got 3 people, you know, that you see, and
Yeah.
when we're on the river, you see a flag flying basically. And,
Yeah.
you know, we'd like to spend more time there.
So,
Canadian, fishing in Canadian waters is my #1 question. Hey, I caught a couple fish in the US, now I'm over in Canada catching a couple, now I'm back in the US. And also, where is the true defining line of the lake and the river? Those are the 2 things I'm asked quite a bit. So.
Well, I don't wanna do all the talking. You
Well,
guys
so,
want-
okay, for the line part, it's from the the lighthouse, right? It's due east, basically to the point of land that kinda comes up in Ontario. So, it'd be so much easier if it was the bridge, but it's not. So, it's the lighthouse due out. For Canadian limits, right, this is the big one. There's so many misconceptions. You can have one limit of each, of the country a day. So if you wanna get your Canadian limit, that's good, but you're not fishing Michigan that same day. If you wanna fish in Michigan, you pick up, say you start over here by the casino early, you pick up 3 fish. Can you come back to Michigan waters and fish? Technically, yes, you're still not over limit. The reason why we're doing it is we don't want, you're going over there, you have your 6 fish. You come back over here, you drop a line down just to fish, so you're over at that point, right? So, but it happens, you guys, it sounds silly, but I mean, we write tickets non-stop for these things. North of the bridge, right? Here's another one, 5 fish, 15 inches. Then, not the bridge, but I'm gonna call it the bridge, right? But north of the line. If you're gonna start doing that, say you're starting down here, and you wanna go up north, you got 13-inch walleye, and then you head north of the bridge, or the north of the lighthouse. It's 5 fish at 15 inches, so technically you're in possession over. You'd have to prove to us that, yeah, I caught it in the river, but think about it, you're in that spot, how the law states it, it's possession. That's what the judge looks at. So it's possession. You have a 13-inch walleye where you're supposed to have 15 in your live well. Issues, we try to figure that out best we can, because we know what happens, but I always suggest start your drifts up north, and then if you don't get your fish, then move south down where the limit's 6 and 13. Just makes it easier so you're not moving fish.
I have had a conversation with Fisheries Division to try and get it to the bridge. We don't designate the boundaries.
No.
Fisheries
I tell
Division-
the out-of-towners it is a bridge.
Yeah, it's easier.
That's the landmark.
Pass.
And that's why we're trying to convince Fisheries Division to make it the bridge. And then we don't have the drifting from one side to the other either, because right now, anybody that fishes up there knows you start to drift in the lake and you drift into the river. That's generally that's what you do. So to eliminate the problem, my chain of command, our sergeant and I and a couple of folks have requested Fisheries Division to make the boundary the Blue Water Bridge. So that'll make it simpler. But the same thing, when we're fishing for walleye, like last spring at the mouth of the Black River, there's a lot of issues there because the Black River is inland waters. It's 5 and 15 on the Black River. It's not 6 and 13.
Season closes too.
And the season closes March 15th. So the guys were catching walleye, limits of walleye in the Black River prior to the closure, and they were thinking it's the same as the Big River, and it's not. The Black River is separate, and the mouth of the Black River is the mouth of the Black River. It's right across from land point to land point. It's not the bridge, the train trestle on the Black River. Some folks, oh, I thought it was a trestle. No, it's the mouth, which is at one point of land to that cross to the next point of land. So, at this point, no one's been able to fish in at the yacht club, so nobody's fishing on the north side, but a lot of guys want to fish that south side. It's 5 and 15 on the Black River, so keep that in mind. We wrote a lot of tickets last year for guys fishing during closed season on the Black River because they were catching walleye on the Black River during the closed season. We closed that for spawning. But that's the other thing, a lot of folks, our division doesn't make up the regulations. Wildlife Division makes up wildlife regulations, Fisheries Division makes up fisheries regulations. We have some suggestions, they ask us for some suggestions. We give them our suggestions at times, like the Blue Water Bridge, but ultimately, if it doesn't affect something they're working on, it's a slim to none chance we're gonna get that change. We've gotta show the need, basically. So, just to make my life easier, or our lives easier, that doesn't gut it for changing something. So, was there anything else with the Black River?
Oh, no.
Oh, that's one I hear a lot in here is, if you go out and you're with a buddy, can you catch your friend's limit of fish too?
No.
Say if you catch.
No party fishing in Michigan, so it's not Wisconsin or whatever, it's, you get your 6, and if your buddy has a bad day and only picks up 1 or 2, but, I mean, come on, everyone's gonna get their limit. No one needs help. I saw a little girl at the Barbie pole just dragging a crawler one day and just picking up walleyes, so, but yeah, no, you gotta catch your own.
Besides calling the wrap line, how else can anglers reach out to you guys to
So
report
Justin,
stuff?
Yeah, you can text the wrap line, right, too. That's a new thing. So if you can just, if you're out there, you want to see, you want to cattle on someone that's doing something crazy, you can text it. It's the same number, and send a picture to like that, and then that goes to us, and they'll send us the picture and all the info. It's a new thing. They advertise it a little bit, but it's nice because people don't want to pick up the phone and be like, hey, this guy's bringing loads of walleye from under the bridge to his car back and forth. They just text it really quick, snap a picture of the car. I mean, it's really easy for us. Then our dispatchers get it to us quickly.
That's something I wanted to add on too. When you do give a complaint, if you give a complaint, be sure to give like a description of the complaint, boat, MC numbers, things like that, how many guys are in the boat, what the boat looks like, what type of boat it is.
Not just like a black Lund.
Yeah.
I mean,
It helps us immensely, especially
lot of
if we get
lunds.
it 30 minutes later, 40 minutes later, if we get the message. Maybe we're already out on the water, we just missed the phone call or something like that. But it helps us a lot, just to narrow things down and speed up the process of checking guys.
Yes, sir.
Is there an issue with catch and release? I mean, if I get my 6 fish, I can throw them back.
yeah, so you can catch and release. That's totally doable. We don't want you to start culling fish that are dead in your live well.
Right.
So if you start pitching out dead fish to upgrade,
Right.
then that's an issue, obviously. When I tell, if people want to do that, they want to upgrade fish, I always say keep your limit, keep 5 fish, and then you have that leeway of 1 fish. So you're not like, say we pull up, you have 6 fish in your box, and you got 1, you're holding it, and we pull up and you look at it, it's like, oh. So now you got 7 fish, and so you don't have that weird feeling. So I always say keep 5 in the box, and then you can use that 1 as leeway. Then when you're ready to be done, keep that last one. It's the best way to stay safe. We probably watched you and pull it up and you're throwing it back, but it's like a deer in headlights, holding that fish. Yeah.
It's like leaving perch on the ice. You catch
Right.
a bunch of dinks, you leave them laying on the ice. They live a little while on the ice, but their eyeballs could freeze. And then you're done, you just kick them back in the hole. Well, now we're kicking perch back in the hole and they got frozen eyeball. That's not the best thing for the resource. You at least kicked them back, which is good. But we see perch on the ice all the time that nobody kicked back. They're dinks, they didn't want to keep them, and they're wasting the resource. We can write the ticket for littering in that situation, if we were to catch someone doing that. But we gotta take care of what we have now so that our kids and grandkids can do this and we can do it next year. And if we wreck that resource, a one-eyed perch is gonna taste the same, but he's gonna be probably eaten by a predator because he's not gonna be able to see him coming. It might not be a real big deal to some of us, a frozen eyeball, but it's maintaining the resource. And that's the goal of what our department's trying to do, is preserve the resource for the future generations. So we gotta take care of what we got, because again, this spring looks to be, I'm guessing we're gonna have as good as years last. And that's great. And when I see guys jigging off from the Black River and they're catching these big hogs full of eggs before the closure, and they're keeping them. Hey, you can do it. It's legal. It's over 13 inches. Take it home and eat it if you want. But you keep those big females full of eggs, and those are making the next couple of years down the road. And we have an abundant number of fish in the system right now. This could continue, and this could be great down the line if we take care of it. If we don't take care of it, we'll be back to trying to catch our 6 fish, and taking us a couple hours to do it. Our adamant fishermen are spoiled. You can go out and catch your 6 fish as long as it takes you to get to the river. You're out there 15 minutes and you're done. And yeah, it's fun to get your limit, but some of us want to go fishing, and you can catch and release. And if you want to upgrade, don't throw back dead fish. That's not doing the resource any good.
Leaving that 1 fish in your live well, that 1 open spot in your daily limit too. That way, if you catch like a hog, 30-inch walleye or something like that, and you want to keep it mounted or something like that, then you're not feeling obligated to slip a 7 fish in there or whatever. You got that extra spot.
When you catch an undersized fish, say you're 15 and you catch one 14 and a half, but it's not going to live. It's dead. I mean, it's bleeding like crazy. You throw it back in?
Yeah, nothing goes to waste. You throw it back in the
yeah.
river, something's going to eat
Okay,
it.
I just want.
You hate to see a seagull swoop down and eat the fish
Sure,
right away.
right.
But, you know, there's muskie down there, there's other walleye that might
Sure,
tear
some
into
will eat
it.
it, right. I
Something's
understand.
gonna eat it, you
Okay.
know, it's not gonna go to waste,
Okay.
so.
It's not, there's no exception for us,
Yeah.
for
Okay.
People,
possession of a short fish.
yeah, people tell us, well, I mean, I fish and I maybe thrown back 1 or 2 a year like that, but people tell us, you know, they come back with
It doesn't happen a lot, but I
15
mean,
fish over
It
their
does happen.
limit, and they go, oh, they all swallowed the hook, we're gonna die. But, you know, so we hear it all the time, like, I believe it like this much, but, you know, you had one.
Yeah, I heard, first of April that the perch going down to 25.
Correct, yep.
Is that because the numbers are going down?
I think they do their, how fisheries, you know, it's, the limit for perch is going to 25 possession across the state except for Lake Erie. That's April 1st, that's what happens. Generally, they base it off of trawl data, the biologists, so they trawl in a certain area. This is how many size perch we have. I think they were finding they had a lot of small fish and not many of the big jumbos. So I think they have a big mathematical equation when it comes to, you know, fish population. You know, they can determine what's the best route of action to see in a couple of years what can help maybe improve that.
And there was a survey sent out.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you got surveys from Fisheries Division.
Over
They sent out,
340,000 and
yeah,
change.
a ton of surveys, and
And
they
only
got like,
18,000 came back.
yeah, under 20,000 back. And of those that responded, one of the questions was, would you be willing to see a reduction in the perch limit? And the majority of the folks that responded to the survey said they would be. So, on top of the biological data, you've got the fishermen who have licenses in Michigan who got a survey that said that that would be acceptable to them.
And all these meetings, you know, you go to the advisory council meetings, or, you know, the Lake Erie one, and things like that. I mean, go to these, they're open to the public, and voice your opinion. You know, so many people feel strongly about something, but you have a big group of people on the other side, you know, a lot of muskie charter guys are big in these, and the bass guys, they're really big, they come to every meeting, so they have a big voice. And people, you know, they listen to it, so they have input. So I always recommend going to these meetings.
You can all go talk in front of the NRC
Yeah.
Commission, and that's who makes the decisions.
I'd like to see a law about spearing, about the holes not being marked. There's a lot of guys that don't mark their holes.
Yeah.
I've heard about guys, like maybe mandatory equipment that has to be, if you're spearing, to mark your hole, that type of thing. That way you guys would know that, okay, you're spearing, where's your equipment? Or where's your whatever markers, however that happens.
Yep.
I see that as a big issue. I've heard of several different friends and stuff like that that have gone through.
Yeah,
because
I
that
think
unmarked.
most of us have gone through a spearing hole
Yeah.
while at working, so.
Or you run into an ice cube on the top of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh, yeah.
it. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You know, meetings like that, NRC, bring it up, things like that. I mean, we always think it's a great idea,
Okay.
but.
live bait at minnows. I fish a lot I fish the Detroit River quite a bit because I live down that way. I no sooner got down there last year, and I just started around the Ambassador Bridge, and I no sooner got stopped by one of you guys and checked me, which was, you guys were gracious and all that. That was great. But I'm going, I didn't have any live minnows, but I was a little nervous because I said, you know, what if I had minnows? And I went back and forth. They said, well, over in Canada, you better have a receipt that you bought them in Canada, versus I can't bring them from the state over there. Is that still a big issue now? Or I mean, it's still going to stay the same?
We don't, state of Michigan, we don't care. I don't wanna say we don't care, but that's not a law in the books that we have.
We did for a short time, but not.
Yeah, not right now. The Ontario ministry, those officers, I can't say if they, you know, they still enforce it. I can't speak for them. I know it's still a law on their side. But coming back and forth, like from Ontario waters to Michigan waters,
Yeah.
you don't need to provide AUSA receipt for your minnows.
But if they were to stop you, you had to produce one.
Like,
That's
and
their law, and that's officer discretion, and
I think that's their.
But say if I go over there and go fishing, and I come back over here, if they want to search me, they can come over on our side of the fence and search you as well, right? Do you have jurisdiction over here as well with you? No,
No,
they can't. Okay.
I don't have jurisdiction over there unless I'm working with one of them.
With them.
And I have worked with the Canadian Warden on the river before. We worked both sides of the river. And in that situation, I don't have regulatory authority in Canada, but I'm able to assist him doing his job.
I see. Okay.
So, and the same thing when he comes on
So
our
you have
side.
an agreement between the two?
Basically, yes.
Okay.
Yep, but individually, I can't go to Canadian waters and do any enforcement.
We won't go across the border,
That
just check
just,
people by
that
ourselves.
just makes a mess of everything. When
I see.
Incidental, international incident.
Don't want
I see a
that.
hand
Make
up
sure
way in
your
the back.
GPS is good.
Over to Lake Erie quite a bit. We get our 50 perch, come back to the Port Huron Fish Cleaning Station.
There's gonna be some questions.
Yeah.
Yep.
If, like, what would you consider proof? Pictures of?
Pictures,
of the
GPS,
boat launch or the,
uh,
anything?
Tickets from a boat launch, you know, if you got a receipt,
Receipt or something?
I mean, it's.
You got a graph
It's
on
just,
your,
it's a nice.
you got a graph on your
fishing station. I
boat.
Right.
don't see an issue with it.
you got a graph on your boat, mark your track that day with the date.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that's a big one. We'll pull that up. Look at your last track.
Look at waypoints,
Waypoints,
tracks,
things
yeah.
like that. So
They're all time stamped and everything normally, so.
I mean, we'd like to avoid court time ourselves.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you're willing to let us look at your GPS,
Yep.
we don't have to write the ticket. If you want us to write the ticket so you can show your GPS to the judge, we can do that too. But it's a whole lot simpler if you just power up your GPS for us and show it to us.
We're not gonna write down the waypoints either.
Yeah.
Goes back to yours.
Somebody else in the back, I think I saw a hand go up maybe? No? Okay. How we doing on time, Joel?
23 minutes.
A few more if you
All
want.
right. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
When our grandson is with us, what's the limit between him and my son?
he's
He gets his own
his
six.
own 6 fish.
If he's
Yeah.
physically able to run the equipment.
That's the big thing is if it's like a newborn, you know.
Everyone laughs, but
No, it happens.
He will try.
Yeah, you got a 1-year-old that's sleeping or something like that, and that's not gonna fly. You know, we got to be able to see them fish. You know that they could reel in a fish themselves.
yeah, you know, you could
You can assist them, yeah, to a
It is,
degree.
you know, as long as
He's
they're
16.
as long as they're trying to have fun and doing stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. If he's actively fishing or
Yeah.
she, then it's totally fine.
Yeah.
Because we have the situation where we're checking a boat, whipping, and there'll be a young person up in the front of the boat sleeping at 1, 2 in the morning. And they've got a 2 or 3 man limit going in the boat. And they want to say, oh, that young one caught 6 fish. We didn't see him catch those 6. And, you know, if we're sitting back and watching, we're counting fish, who's catching what. And that's the difference between shore fishing and fishing in the river. We can see a lot of people, and we do a lot of work with binoculars. We can count what fish you catch and who's catching them. So if you're out there and your buddy caught 10 and you caught 2, we might be able to see that. I see your hand in the back. We'll get you. Why don't you go ahead? I'm just kind of rattling on. Go ahead.
I just got a question because, we get in and we're jigging, especially if we start to get in there in June, July. A lot of guys quit, but a lot of us are still doing it. You get through that 80-foot hole over there on the Canadian side, and when you hit that fish that's sub 13, and you're bringing them up from that hole, and you're popping his bladder. We're on the Canadian side, we'll fizz a fish, right? Because we carry a needle and stuff like that. But what about all these other guys that are all freaking out because they know if they don't know how to do this, they're gonna kill the fish. If they're on the Canadian side, should they just show proof that they were on the Canadian side fishing? Because on the Canadian side, what's the size limit?
There is no size limit.
There you go. And that's one of the biggest questions.
Yeah, if you're licensed, you have an Ontario sports license or conservation license, you have it and you were fishing in Canada, all you have to do is show us. And we know that you're legally allowed to keep 6 Canadian fish, pickerel, 6 pickerel over there, a box full of pickerel that are 12 inches,
Right.
So if you have your license, you're fine to possess that coming back into the States.
That's in the situation at the boat ramp. If you're actually fishing in Michigan, there's going to be more questions asked if you have a short fish. But if you come into the boat ramp with a short fish, you got Canadian license, you say you caught that short fish in Canada, we're going to let you go with that fish. But if you're fishing in Michigan waters, there's going to be some questions. Because we're now fishing in Michigan, now you're under the Michigan regulations. So if someone was to keep that short fish from Canada, you might not want to stay fishing in Michigan waters. You might want to finish up your day and go right to the boat ramp. Or put that fish back, whatever decision you want to make. But we've got a policy. If we don't see you fishing in Michigan waters and you claim to be in Canadian fishing, then we let you ride with whatever limit you might have from Canada. Because Canada sometimes has a different limit than us. Right now, it's nice that it's the same. The ministry over there might change it, and they could up the limit to 8, like we did in Saginaw Bay. Then if you came into the boat ramp with 8 fish, we didn't see you fishing in Michigan waters, and you've got a Canadian license, you're good to go.
We'll still check your fish because you're possessing them in Michigan, but if you're licensed, like I said, licensed in Canada, you can follow those Canadian rules in Ontario.
Anybody else?
Canada lower their perch to 50.
I have no idea.
I think
Or
they're,
Lake
I
St.
think
Clair,
they're the
you
same.
can-
Yeah, so if you go to Mitchell's Bay
Yeah.
and fish for perch, and you come back, like I said, provide your Canadian license to us, your Ontario license, and maybe when you cross the border somewhere, get a receipt, easy to prove. Then we see you cleaning 50 perch, we know you're at Mitchell's Bay.
We check guys in Algonac that come in with a boatload of bluegill, because there's no limit in Wapo Island for bluegill. They'll come in with a couple coolers full of bluegill. I didn't see them fishing in Michigan. They got their Wapo and their Canadian licenses. I got nothing. Have a nice day. But if they're fishing in Michigan waters and they've got that many fish, now there's a problem. So it's being on the border makes some things confusing, but use your best judgment on the regulations, and there's really no reason why you don't know the regulations. I stopped a couple guys a few weeks ago on snowmobiles down on the ice. Well, you should have put some cones out, or you should have put some signage up. It's like, nah, it's not my responsibility to notify you of the rules. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. That's what you're gonna hear from the court. So if you're gonna partake in an activity, you've got free pamphlets that we print, we've got internet, we've got computer, you've got us to phone calls. Joel's a wealth of knowledge probably on regulations. I mean, I wouldn't recommend listening to the guys at over a couple adult beverages. You know, that kind of gets fuzzy sometimes, but not knowing the regulations is not an excuse for breaking them. So, yes, sir.
Is there a way to do it where you can, your buddy could drop you off to clean fish and he can go pull the boat out?
So the guy cleaning's got
Yeah.
2 limits, you mean?
Yeah, can you take a picture of his license or?
Yeah,
or you
you're
need
supposed,
a
if you're giving some fish to someone, I mean, I suggest that, you know, you're technically over, but if you maybe just write something out, be like, hey, this is your driver's license number, picture of that. And as long as you come back, if the guy's like, yeah, he'll be back any minute now, well, 4 hours later, you never come back. That's, you know, we'll wait, we're not gonna spend all day trying to prove it, but we'll use what we got.
Have his phone number, or written receipt,
Yeah,
like
phone
Pat
number's
said, you know.
huge, you know, that's like, hey, just,
Give him a call.
I'll call him.
We'll call him, you know, we don't have a problem doing that.
Yeah.
We'll call him to verify it.
but if he like, wakes up from sleeping and, you know, and then, it happens, you guys, I mean, 2 in the morning, I'm like, your buddy's, really, you're just here? Okay, let's call him. And then they'll usually be like, nah, you know, he's asleep at home. Yeah.
What about if, you know, like if you're pulling your boat into the cleaning station and stuff like that, because there's usually 2 or 3 of us, all right? And if we go in and we, you know, like we wanna clean our fish, you know, and not have to go through, pull the boat out and drive everything back down to the cleaning station. Is there an issue with that? Because we're gonna go to the ramp.
There is a law that says you cannot possess mutilated fish on the water. And the ticket's been written in the past.
Well, that's, yeah,
The suspicion was at the time that that fish was short because the walleye, the fillet was so small. And the whole point of filleting the fish and keeping the carcass kind of defeats the whole purpose of going to the cleaning station.
Yeah.
If you had the carcass with you and we could measure it, there'd be no question as to where that fillet came from or why it was so small. You might have not done a good job of cleaning it. But the instance that the ticket was written a few years ago, it was suspicion of that it was a short fish. It's our discretion. There is a law that says you shall not possess mutilated fish that cannot be measured or identified on the water. So if you're in your boat coming into the 12th Street ramp and you've got fillets with you, again, there's going to be some questions asked.
So catch and cook on the ice is a big no.
It counts against your daily limit. That was, and we laugh at that, but that was just recently a blog on some internet stuff.
It's a big thing on YouTube right now.
Something went on Saginaw Bay. Somebody said that you could catch and eat all the fish you want. That's not how it works. You catch your 6, or up there you catch your 8 fish and you're done. You can eat them if you want. If you want to haul everything out there and eat them on the lake, keep the carcass so we can measure them and identify them, you're good to go. But
I always tell people too, snap a picture before you clean it, you know. it just helps us, you know, we might not need it, there might be 8 carcasses there, everything checks out, everything's good. But if you say, hey, you know, I got this picture too, 8 fish right here, it just makes it simpler for us.
I mean, we get calls about photographs on Facebook. Somebody will post a picture with 40 fish. And we gotta go track them down because they live in our county. They went to Saginaw Bay with a couple buddies, well, there's only one name listed on the Facebook account. So I gotta talk to the guy, interview him about the photograph he's got of all these fish. Well, then I find out that he's with this guy, and they're not over limit, but that's what it looks like on Facebook. So, there's a lot of things on social media we make cases on, and there's a lot of things that kind of waste our time, but that's part of the process. So, if there's something suspicious, let us know what you find, what you see. So,
I appreciate it, guys.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And becoming the best at it and mastering myself and seeing what I have within me. If you decide to drop your buckets where you are and develop your gifts,